you're ready to wake up, you're going to wake up. And if you're not ready, you're going to stay pretending that you're just a little, poor little me.
Do you feel it?
Yes, we do.
A worldwide awakening is upon us. Welcome to the Universal Consciousness Show.
The Universal Consciousness Show.
Where we explore topics such as UFOs, aliens, banned medical cures, as well as classified secret knowledge. Come question your holographic existence. Share experiences from the other side. This is a show that will expand your mind as we decrypt the symbolic messages locked away deep within your DNA. And now, your guides for this magical journey. The hosts of the Universal Consciousness Show, Bobby Nost and Diana Seraphim.
Hello, everybody. Here we are again with coffee in hand, ready to do another show. And you are listening to the show for the thinking global citizen. My name is Augie and I'm one of the hosts, and my co-host Diana is over in Germany. Hello, Diana.
Hello, everyone.
All right. Well, before we introduce the guest here, let me tell you how you can connect with us also. You can visit us on our website at universal-consciousness-show.com. Or we are on YouTube with the same name, Universal Consciousness Show. And please subscribe while you're there. Hit that little red subscribe button. And you know how it works. When you do that, there is another button that comes up. A little bit to the right of the red one, there's a little black bell that comes up. Click on that one also, because that way you will get notifications when new shows are coming out. And boy, oh boy, you don't want to miss that. So for those of you that want to hear this again, just you can find it on our website, universal-consciousness-show.com. We are on YouTube in about a day or so when we get it up there. And of course, in the archives of KCOR Radio, and that is at kcorradio.com. And look under the archives for the Universal Consciousness Show, and there we are. And of course, we're on Twitter, iTunes, TuneIn, Alexa, Facebook, and a few other places we put it. So, and if you are listening in the KCOR radio website, there's this wonderful little feature down at the bottom of the page. It's a donate button. And if you like what you hear, we love for you also, if you can feel inclined to show your gratitude that way also. It tells us that we are doing the right thing. And we love to hear from you that way also. So if you cannot do that, that is perfectly all right. We love you, and we are delighted that you are here listening. Otherwise, gosh, it will be just me and Diane and the guest here, and it would not be quite as much fun. And so on to the show with our guest. We are having Reverend Victoria Wiseman with us. She is returning to the Universal Consciousness Show. We were on there, gosh, it's got to be close to a year ago now since we did this last time. And she holds the title of Reverend. But she is a reverend that crawled out of the box and started looking around outside of religious text. She is an ordained metaphysical minister, and with the Bancroft Spiritual Center for Awakening Spiritual Growth. That makes her more spiritual than religious in my book. She is a member of several metaphysical organizations and studies at the University of Metaphysics, and working on a bachelor degree there and an eventual doctorate in spiritual counseling. She is also a Reiki master, And I had a talk with her before the show, and she says I'm not a healer, but I don't know. I might disagree with that because Reiki, yes, we're helping, or you're helping people heal themselves and being a conduit from the universe, but you're facilitating some of that. So I disagree with you, Victoria. You are actually a form of healer. She offers
Well,
Reiki and card reading and lectures on spiritual development. She is the owner of the business, The Loving Lighthouse in Kawartha Lakes, Ontario, Canada. So today we will explore how the universe deals with what's going on here and how we ended up in this situation that we are globally right now from a spiritual point of view. So welcome to the show, Victoria.
Thanks for having me, Aggie.
Yeah.
hello, Victoria. Hello, and thank you so much for being with us today in spite of this aggressive experience that the whole world is going through. But just to begin with, for the ones that don't know you yet, could you please start by telling us what was the turning point in your life that brought you on this path? How did it all begin for you?
I went through an awakening in 2012, and I decided to take all of the struggles that I had gone through in my life and use them for good in assisting other people that are having tough times, that need somebody to turn to. And a lot of people like to turn to the church, and as we all know, a lot to do with the church is falling apart now. And I wanted to be an individual that could be present with unconditional love for everyone, no matter what their beliefs were, no matter what their faith was, no matter what their sexual orientation is, no matter their skin color. I just want to be present for people. And I find that it gives me, it's a very fulfilling feeling to be present for people, no matter who they are or where they're from. Um, and I can now use things that I've been through, such as rape and abuse, addictions. I've been homeless at times. I know what hunger feels like. And I've overcome all of those things, but I can literally sit with somebody while they're going through these times and feel 100% empathetic towards what they're going through and help them to see the light for themselves and get themselves on a better track. We're always on the right path, but sometimes we need a little nudge to see that. So I like to shine a light in life for people, and that's why I've named my business The Loving Lighthouse.
Yeah, and we're getting that nudge now, aren't we?
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, and when we look around what's going on in the world right now, we got to ask ourselves, how did we end up in this situation? Actually, we know that quantum physics is telling us we live in a mind created universe. So a mind created universe means that did we create all this ourselves, or did we have some help from
Well,
outside?
I believe that our thoughts are extremely powerful, and collectively, there's been a lot of, I mean, when we look at the word disease, it's dis-ease and discomfort. So when we've been focusing on all of these negative things that are going on around us, we're actually bringing them into our reality. We're manifesting these negative things. And it's important that we stick with gratitude and the frequency of love to overcome these things, and raising our vibrations to get through the pandemic that we're experiencing globally. Right now, we're being forced collectively to come together as one. And it's only once we all come together that we're going to be able to get through this. We all have to be on the same wave. the same frequency and the same mindset to get through all of this. There's a lot of people that are talking about conspiracy theories and the negative entities and things like that. And to be honest, it's not a good thing to be continuously talking about that and bringing light to those areas of our minds, because we do, in fact, bring it to our reality.
Yeah, it seems like when people now are kind of not necessarily forced quite yet, but we may be, if they go to a total shutdown, we may be forced just to stay together as families and maybe start connecting again. And I think if somebody behind the curtain had a plan of total domination here, I think that's going to backfire on them, because people are starting to look outside of the box and see that maybe the government narrative is not quite right, and people are getting together and they are starting to think on their own.
There is a mass awakening happening, and I feel that and I see it. And I think that at the end of all of this, we are going to come together collectively with that frequency of love. Yeah. I really strongly believe in that, and that's where my focus has been. I mean, there are a lot of things right now to be worried about, but I'm advising people that they shouldn't focus on all of the negativity that's going on right now. Don't bury your head in the sand, but don't give all of your energy and focus to the tragedies that are happening right now. Look at the things that you have to be grateful for. Like to be in this country right now, to be able to sit in isolation in our homes, to have what we need, and to have the comfort of our loved ones around, and to, you know, that's a true blessing in itself, to be able to sit like this while we're getting through this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you think about that, you said being lucky to be living in a country like this, and when we're talking about North America, we had 1 out of 5 chance not to be living in China, where they're really having a hard time. So,
yes.
And then, of course, over there, their God is science. So they don't really have the same kind of perspective of maybe getting together like we do. What do you think?
I tend not to judge too much on how other cultures are and with what their view of God is. I do feel that they do definitely live a different lifestyle than I do, and that maybe you do. It is completely different in North America, but we have differences all over the globe, and we have to try as humanity to find something that's going to connect us in a way that it's not so much based on a religious God or any labels of any kind. Trying to articulate this and the thoughts there.
Yeah. I think too that because of the cultural differences, it's they're looking at it from a totally different angle. They're looking at it like let me turn that around. Here we're looking, or we at least now that is a little bit aware, we are looking at it as a challenge for us to overcome our challenges. And over there, they're looking at it as a problem more so. That's my impression.
But do you think on a global level that we can speak about a different world after this will be over? Do you think the world would be better? We can talk about the time before the pandemic and the time after the pandemic.
I truly do believe that it's going to be a better world once we do get through all of this. I think that people are going to be a lot more compassionate and understanding and loving towards one another. Things that we're taking for granted, like being able to go and give your neighbor a hug, Handshakes, simple gestures like that of kindness are forbidden right now. Those are things that we've taken for granted. And I think that once we do get through all of this, there will be a stronger presence of love globally, no matter what the mindsets were in prior to the pandemic. I think afterwards, we are going to be in a loving vibe all around the world. And we're going to have a lot more compassion for one another, no matter where we're located on the globe. We have to find a way to deal with this gracefully and to deal with this pandemic in a manner that where our thoughts and energy are focused on a positive, on what we have to be thankful for, and in honoring and respecting each other by not, violating the suggestions of close person-to-person contact right now. Like if you are sick, stay home. Hand washing, hygiene practices. I think that things will be better once this is all said and done. Now, I did find a really nice write-up that I wanted to share with you with respect to this.
Yeah.
Do you mind? Okay. It's written by Donna Ashworth, and it says, history will remember when the world stopped, and the flights stayed on the ground, and the cars parked in the street, and the trains didn't run. History will remember when the schools closed, and the children stayed indoors, and the medical staff walked towards the fire, and they didn't run. History will remember when the people sang on their balconies in isolation, but so very much together in courage and song. History will remember when the people fought for their old and their weak, protected the vulnerable by doing nothing at all. History will remember when the virus left and the houses opened and the people came out and hugged and kissed and started again, kinder than they ever were before.
Wow.
And I really feel that in my heart is what I foresee for our globe. And that's what I'm putting my energy into. And I invite everyone else to, really think about this within their hearts and how we can create a better world by learning from this experience that we've been gifted. As tragic as it might be for some of us on this planet, everything contains hidden blessings. And I think that the true blessing in this is that we are going to collectively rise above all of this pandemic and embrace love for love's sake. Yeah. And we're going to have a stronger appreciation for one another once we get through this.
And I think the vibration among people, the vibration of their thinking is rising also, because there is another statistic that I haven't heard anybody really talk much about, and that is that crime is dropping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
I noted that the other day. There's not been any looting or, riots happening.
Yeah.
Like where we're pretty much living in ghost towns right now. I mean, if you do happen to go out, there's no traffic and there's no crime. So that says something. That does say something for humanity.
Absolutely. I think that section of society that it does those things, they are rethinking their actions as well. And I tell you, habits, negative habits like that, they can be changed too by the vibration of love, because there is prayer groups, there is masterminds out there, a lot of different places now that is concentrating on helping to raise the vibration of the people of this ball of mud called Earth.
Yes. And I'm one with that. I'm all about raising our vibrations, and even within my own home. And I believe it has to start within our homes. not, I have 2 children. They're not sitting in fear right now. They're embracing our family time. Life goes on. Mommy's going to teach them what they need to know while school's closed, and staying positive even for the children. If we practice that, we can master that. I mean, it just has to be cultivated within ourselves. The positive thinking and catching ourselves when we start to get negative or feeling fearful. Because illnesses love low vibration. The low vibration just feeds the virus. So if we could all collectively raise our vibrations, we can defeat this as one in unity. Humanity has to unite to do this, and we all have to be on board. Even just what's happening with the government now with the funding, like homeless people in Trudeau is like all of a sudden all of the homeless people now, they're going to be provided hotel rooms because of this pandemic going on. He's waiving, nobody will be evicted. I mean, and this is just in the country I'm in, so I'm sure there's things going on in everyone's countries to try to make things better for the people. But I mean, like, nobody will be evicted for not paying rent. They're waiving mortgages for 3 months. Communication companies are offering free services. So people are really trying to come together, and I see it. Collectively, we are going to overcome this, and I do feel that the vibrations are getting higher, and there are more and more people awakening each day to the power that's within them. And I just know, I really feel strongly that we're going to choose love over fear, and that's what's going to conquer this virus, this COVID-19.
I think you just touched on something that we got 2 minutes left for the break here, and I think there is something that we can really touch on here, and that is that when we speak of government is a dead entity. It's a fiction. There are actually people running government, and they are also affected by this raising of vibration, and that probably is why they are doing what they're doing in Canada, putting homeless people in hotel rooms and creating laws about no foreclosures and things, because people are changing. Do you think that goes all the way to government too?
I believe so, because this virus, it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor or where your demographic status is, it's affecting us all equally. And this is one time in our history that it's affecting everybody equally. It doesn't, and it's not prejudiced against anybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I do believe that the vibes are raising within the government, and I hope that, I trust that it is going to cause a ripple effect.
There we go with the music. So we're going to a break. Stay with us. We're going to get back and talk more about universal law and the power of thought. So stay with us.
You're listening to the Universal Consciousness Show.
The Universal Consciousness Show.
Your weekly connection to the truth.
You get to really sort of enjoy a bizarre ride.
Share your knowledge by calling our hotline number at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230.
Call now.
Worldwide callers find us on Skype at KCOR Radio. It's time to abandon your fear and question what you think you know.
And now, if you will, accompany me on a journey to the future.
More awakening awaits.
After this, after this, after this, after this, after this, after this.
Friday night, 9 p.m. Pacific. Jump onto the Celestial Highway and travel at the speed of light. Into hyperspace. 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 Hosted by Solaris Blue Raven. She navigates you through the cosmic tides of mysticism into the world of covert technology, UFOs, mystical sciences, and the world of unforeseen forces.
You get to really sort of enjoy a bizarre ride.
Listen live, Friday night, 9 p.m. Pacific, for Hyperspace, the one show that blows the whistle off our government black ops projects. Hyperspace, hosted by Solaris Blue Raven. Solaris Blue Raven, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Want to take a ride? Take a ride. Take a ride.
Monday nights are about to become hauntingly good, as Reverend Sean Whittington possesses the airwaves with Vegas Supernatural. Tune in every Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern for Vegas Supernatural, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. There's a war raging between good and evil. The question is, which side are you fighting on? Tune in Monday nights as Reverend Sean Whittington sets the new standard for paranormal radio with some of the most influential personalities in the world today. Vegas Supernatural, hosted by Reverend Sean Whittington, every Monday night at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The one show even the devil doesn't want you to hear.
This is the story of a very special woman. Just a few knew about her superpowers. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Are you ready to go?
It's showtime!
Here we go, world. You're listening to the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Broadcasting from the heart of Las Vegas, Nevada.
Their base is so large it has to draw most of its power from the nearby nuclear fusion plant.
The future of radio is here and now.
This is how we do every day. We be grinding, and if you wanna come and test us,
if you love them enough to turn off your music and pretend like their music is your music,
this is Mommy's jam.
Then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Let's play it again.
Check today at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Going live in 3, 2, 1.
It's time, once again, to unravel the mysteries of the universe by connecting the dots to a higher consciousness. This is the Universal Consciousness Show.
The Universal Consciousness Show.
Now the world will begin hearing us.
Share your knowledge by calling 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio.
It's as simple as that.
Find us on Twitter at KCOR Radio or use hashtag KCOR. Even better, join us on the live chat at KCORradio.com. Back to your enlightened hosts, Agi Nast and Diana Serafin.
Hello, and we are back with the Universal Consciousness Show, and we are talking with Victoria Wiseman. And before the break, we were talking about some of the challenges we have on Earth right now, and many of them in North America and Europe. But let's also talk about what can we do to solve this problem. There are some universal laws. And in the physical, we're subject to cause and effect. But outside of the physical, these things does not work exactly the same as cause and effect. And the universe is a giving universe. If we're able to tap in to the positive stream of vibration that comes from that intelligent universe that has all the resources for us if we reach for it. And I think I set the stage a little bit for here, what we're going to talk about. And what about those universal laws, Victoria?
Well, the universal laws are undefiable. And when we utilize them for our benefit, and we believe in them, and we feed them um, our positive thoughts, and we're open to receiving. And that's why it's so important. We can't stress enough how important it is to stay in a gratitude mindset, to be thankful for everything that we have. Instead of looking at lack, look at what we do have. Instead of looking at the fact that I'm isolated at home, I can't go out, look at the fact that now you've got that free time. Like, people are always complaining that they don't ever have enough time to organize things or to make special dinners for their family, because everything's always rush, rush, rush. Well, right now we can be thankful that we can be comfortable with our family and trust that the universe will provide for us, and not be fearful that, what's happening 3 months from now, what's going to happen 6 months from now, and stressing about the economy. If we stay positive and trust that we are abundant and we are worthy of this abundance, and we stay tapped into that universal mind, we will allow all of it to flow to us.
Yeah, and there's a wiser man than me that said worrying is kind of like praying for things that you don't want.
Exactly. Yeah. The universe doesn't understand want and don't want. Just focus. Your thoughts are energy. Your emotions are energy. Your emotions are energy in motion. And we have to feel joyful and happy by choice. That's where the free will comes from. Like the universe's wish for everybody is that we will take that free will and align it with the will of the universe, that we will be abundant and healthy and happy and whole and joyous. And I've lived through this in my own life. When I started to change my mindset, and when I started to practice, putting to practice the universal laws, there could be days where I might have only had $1 in my bank, and then ironically, all of a sudden, I get some random deposit into my account, or a bill company will say, "Oh, we're going to give you this credit for $100." So abundance can come in all different ways. It's not just in money. Your neighbor could show up and say, "Oh, I just got my garden was really successful," and they come over with a basket of fruits and vegetables for you. That's abundance. And we have to be open and aware. And when we are living in awareness, we can recognize when all of these blessings are coming our way. And we have to be mindful to catch ourselves. If you do catch yourself in a negative thought, change your thought. You're not stuck with, just thinking one way and now you're doomed because you have that negative thought. Mm-hmm. It's a lenient universe where we can change our thoughts and change our vibrations to live in alignment with the will of the universe, or with the will of God, or source, or creator, and realizing that that's all within us.
But do you think that is enough to think positive thoughts, or it's mandatory to feel the emotion about them? Because if you just think, "Oh, I'm very abundant," but you are very sad that you cannot buy stuff for your kid, I think that the predominant emotion is a bad one, is a sad one. So the universe will not react at my thought, but will react at my emotion.
Right. You have to have a heart and mind connection. You have to have heart and mind connection. And you can't, think, "Oh, I'm going to be abundant," and not do anything. Like, you have to put in some action as well. Like, you have to take steps. Mm-hmm. Fearlessly, you have to take steps towards your goals and your dreams. You can't just sit back and say, "Well, I'm thinking this way, so the universe is just going to give it to me." You have to mind, body, and soul. Everything has to be all in that frame, and then you're like a magnet, where you will attract everything to yourself effortlessly.
I think you just touched on something here that really need to be explored a little deeper, because it is so right. And that is probably why most prayers really don't work, because people are not doing it right. They're just doing it by words only. To the
Memory,
universe.
reciting, yeah.
Yeah, to the universe, words are fine, but it's the emotion, the colorful images, the gratitude that goes with the words that ignites the universe to start complying with what we are envisioning.
Yes. You have to see it, you have to feel it, you have to believe it, and then you receive it.
Yeah.
And you have to, doing unto others as you'd have them do unto you. I mean, what you put out there does come back. So, I mean, being a virtuous person, just living by virtue in all of your actions, and being in that mind of awareness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's
to
why
recognize the blessings as they come. And sometimes when we think our life is in complete upheaval, it is the universe's way of making room for those things that you've been praying for to come to you. Sometimes things have to be taken away from you, or destroyed, or removed from your life in certain ways for the blessings to come.
Boy, do I know that one. Yeah, because a lot of times what I have found is that before we take on this, or we create this body for ourselves, we make some agreements about things that we are supposed to learn and experience. And if that is in our master plan, when we come here and we pray for things to happen, it may not happen because it's not in the master plan. And God knows, I'm glad that some of the stuff that I prayed for in my early days I didn't get, and boy, am I glad that I didn't get it now.
Mm-hmm.
So, because other things came that was much better.
The universe knows.
Yeah, the
you
universe.
just have to trust. All about trust and faith.
Yeah, and
for the listeners out there that may not be too familiar with universal laws, there's a great Dick Sutphin. There you can find on YouTube. He goes through all of the universal laws and a very soothing voice, and he explains things in depth and gives examples of how the universal laws might be working in your life. You can get him on Spotify or on YouTube, and you can buy the audio as well on iTunes. Okay. I don't know Dick Sutphin personally. I'm not profiting from that, but I found that to be very beneficial in my life.
Oh, and yeah.
I do listen to it quite often when I need to have a little bit of a reminder for myself, because being human, I'm not a great master yet. So, I mean, there's times that I do slip into a negative thought sequences, and I just find that this could be really helpful for other people out there too, is the universal laws narrated and written by Dick Sutphin, and that's S-U-T-P-H-E-N. Dick Sutphin.
That's excellent.
We actually had him as a guest in our show.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yes, because I love his work. Yes, I read all his books, and I also am listening to his programs. All this sleeping program is very, very good. The 8-hour sleeping program.
Excellent.
Yes, and we had it on our show.
I'll have to listen to it in your archives.
Yeah.
I guess other people are going to be looking that one up now too.
Yeah.
Dick Sutphin on. Yeah, he's incredible.
And
it's very helpful. Very helpful.
Yeah, that reminds me, we should have him back again.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So if Dick Sutson's listening out there, we love you. And thank you for all that you do. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's incredible. And this, what we are going through and everything is basically created by the power of thought, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
When we say thought, that doesn't mean necessarily physical thought, because there is a non-physical aspect or part to thought. Because when spirit comes here and creates this body, it has thought. And the quantum mechanics, now I'm going to get a little technical here for about 20 seconds. Quantum mechanics tells us that in the physical there is no randomness. With other words, there is no choice. And outside of the physical, that's where all the choice is, in the micro world. So all our changes that we want to happen in the physical, those changes are facilitated outside of the physical and then brought into the physical. With other words, our spiritual self makes the changes by thought first and transfer them into the physical. So the power of thought pretty much controls everything.
Yes. I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that 100%. It's truth.
Yeah, and that's why we should be a little careful with what we think. What we allow to dwell in our minds the most is what we're going to have in our life. And boy, oh boy, that's scary for some of us.
Another example, there was I can't remember the woman's name, but she had given an excellent talk on, the bills coming in. Instead of dreading having her bills, she was like, thank you, my bills are here. Thank you. I'm so grateful to pay these bills. I'm grateful for the resources that I'm receiving. I'm grateful for the hydro. I'm grateful for the gas. I'm grateful for my telephone. And she has this mindset of being grateful for paying her bills. And then they're paid with ease. So instead of being negative and dreading them, there's even a clip about that in the movie The Secret. The more that you're stressed about your bills, the more those bills keep coming in the mail. It's all about how we can change our mindset and, again, switching to being grateful and positive about everything in our life. Even the things that we aren't particularly fond of, we have to love that. We have to love those things. We still have to show love towards things that we're not fond of at the same time as things that we are very ecstatic about.
Are there any specific universal laws that you are mostly concerned about complying with or working with that you could advise the listeners to?
Yes, just one moment. Actually, I'm going to pull something up here.
Because universal laws are constant. The laws made by governments is up to the whim of the one who writes the laws. They can have laws today, and if it doesn't serve them for their re-election campaign, they get rid of it. So, but constance within the universal law never changes.
I find, in particular, the law of cognitive dissonance. For an example, knowing that smoking is harmful while liking to smoking, believing that lying is bad and then being forced to lie, not wanting to scream and yell at your children, but then making excuses for yourself. Oh, well, that's how my parents treated me, or, at least I'm not beating them. It's the way that cognitive dissonance is something that I think a lot of people have trouble with in their everyday.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the cognitive dissonance
Oh,
theory?
I totally agree. And this is one of the things that people in different positions of society, it is pretty much almost required of them to lie about certain things. Look at politicians.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And people work in pharmaceutical companies. You wouldn't last very long unless you were able to go along with the lies that there is no cure for this virus. You wouldn't able to kick you right out the front door, not even the back door. Yeah, it's kick you out the front door. So there are certain things that we have to position ourselves in order to comply with it. And that is maybe be out of those positions and be in maybe our private industry or working in a situation where we don't have to do those things. And it becomes apparent to us after a while. If we end up with a new job and you are required to lie about certain things, maybe that's not the job for you. You should start looking maybe a little further for something
Right.
different.
It creates a tension within ourselves.
Yeah.
Cognitive dissonance. And the opposite of that would be cognitive consonance, a state of harmony. And people have a hard time just cancel delete. People will find it easy to do this. Again, with our words, the words we use, people need to find it easy to live in a state of harmony and to be more truthful with themselves. That if things aren't exactly in alignment with their values and their morals, that they need to do something about it and to honor themselves and to live by their truth and to live by what their heart speaks to them, versus convincing themselves on a daily that, I might not agree with this, but I can do it for the paycheck.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of that out there. Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's when we find that requirement of us, that's when we should start thinking that I probably do not belong here. I should look for something different. And of course, looking for something different then should put yourself in a position where you have more security and able to take care of yourself, have more freedom, and that one of them is get away from this concept of trading time for money. And
Yes.
if you think about that concept, that's where it's very hard to get out of that. But trading time for money, if you're no longer able to trade your time, you have no money. And this is one of the universal principles. If you tap into the universal principle, the storehouse of creative energy outside of the physical, and you follow the principle you just talked about, universal law, you don't really have to worry about it because things are provided.
Right. And that I've been wanting to say here is the underlying cause for all of that, why people don't change their jobs or why they don't make the decisions that are going to make them happier in the end. It's fear. And they are all stuck in fear. And we have to rise above that in our vibrations and in our mind, like rise above it in all senses of the word.
Yeah.
And eliminate the fear. Anger comes from fear. Everything that is negative all stems from fear, no matter how you look at it. And it's what's holding people back. And once they can embrace that love is who they are, and love is why they are here, and love is there, it's there for us all.
Yeah.
And it's easier said than done, because if it was so easy, everybody would just do it, right? And what a world we would live in. But it's going to be that's the biggest challenge and struggle for most people, is getting past their fears.
And I see we have, we're just coming up on 4 minutes left of the show here. Would you tell people where they can get a hold of you and what you do and how you can help them maybe cope a little better through this time?
Okay, well, I am available all the time on Facebook. You can find me under Reverend Victoria Wiseman. I also have my Facebook page, The Loving Lighthouse. My website is currently under construction, so there isn't a website at this time. I can be reached by phone at 705-821-3332 or by email at thelovinglighthouse@gmail.com. And people can feel free to send me a message on Facebook or a text or email or a phone call, and I will do my best to be present for you, and no matter what your situation is, and see if I can't help you to find the solutions that are needed and be a light for you to find and leading the way for you to heal yourself. I'm available for Reiki sessions, distance as well as in person, and let me tell you, distant healing works just as well. So I look forward to anybody that would like to get in touch with me to please do so. I really appreciate that you've given me the opportunity to be on the show again. I have a lot of respect for both yourself and Diana and the things that you are doing with awakening humanity and sharing the plethora of information that you share and all of the secrets that you're exposing. I'm just very grateful to have made the connection, and I'm grateful for Facebook for that.
Well, thank you for the kind words, and also remember that you're doing Reiki, and some of that can be done at a distance, so you don't have to be in person, do you?
No, that's right. That's what I was saying. Distant healing is just as effective, and when I do distant healings, I will actually, I could send healing at any time. Like people say, can you send me some strength? I do that. But if I give somebody an actual distant session, we schedule a time where you're going to be undisturbed, and I will actually sit in my healing space and channel the healing to you for a half an hour session. And it's very personal and intensive, and all with unconditional love, because I do love everyone.
Okay, thank you. We are down to the end, so thank you, Victoria Wiseman, for being our guest, and we'll be back next week. Take care of each other.
This has been the Universal Consciousness Show.
The Universal Consciousness Show.
Your weekly guide to a deeper understanding of the all that we are.
Well, in a few years, it will be a matter of common sense to very many people that they're one with the universe. It'll be so simple.
Live Mondays at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. For more information on the show, hosts, or their guests, please visit universal-consciousness-show.com. That's universal-consciousness-show.com. Remember, there's a shift coming. A new earthly paradigm. A shift to universal consciousness.
Universal consciousness.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network, broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51. Wait, that doesn't exist. This is the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Now for the news.